So I got my first order from Shapeways today. For those of you who don't know, that's a company that specializes in 3D printing. They can print things on all sorts of different materials. Silver, stainless steel, plastics, glass. And this is what I had printed. You might recognize this from one of my other videos. It's a prototype of a new type of interface. This is sort of just in the rapid prototyping phase. So the design is not entirely refined, and additionally I had to up the scale by about 80% because while 3D printers are incredibly advanced, they're not quite advanced enough yet to where they can print things at ultra high resolution. In the original design specs for this interface, the part was about 1 centimeter wide. This is 2 centimeters approximately. Alright, so this is the detail view. A couple things to note. This little arrow here, you can see pretty clearly. That's a 0.2 millimeter indentation. So it's really incredible, and to be honest, completely amazing that they can print at that resolution and still retain that level of detail. These bevels here, bezel I guess you would call them, on each one of the prongs is 0.5 millimeters. You can see those are quite distinct. These little cavities here, those are each 1 millimeter in width with 1 millimeter of spacing. They intersect with these holes here, which are for the copper wires. I haven't wired these yet just because I just got these in the mail a few minutes ago. I'm just kind of inspecting and admiring them. There's one other design element here that is really difficult to see, but you can probably still make it out. They're in the industry they're referred to as clicks, and that's basically where there's a little indentation and then a little projection. It's really difficult to see, but they still printed even though they were only 0.2 millimeters in height and depth respectively. Okay, so this is how this works. It's a fully symmetrical interface if you've seen the other video, so it doesn't matter which way you connect the two pieces. But I put these arrows on here basically for backwards compatibility with Ethernet, for those who would like to implement the design for Ethernet. So basically the two arrows on the matching pieces gives you an indicator of parity, so that if you want to wire an Ethernet cable up to the back of this, then you can correctly connect two Ethernet cables by using those arrows for parity. For normal use of the interface, those are just used for power, in which case it doesn't matter. You can connect them in any direction and they'll work just fine because of the way the interface is designed. And that's distributed power, so you can actually have a lot more voltage than you would normally. Yeah, so this is pretty exciting for me. My first 3D printed object ever. and I have to admit I'm really impressed with Shapeways. By the way, this center channel, for those who don't know, is for a fiber optic cable, which I have plenty of fiber optics. And yeah, so it's a hybrid interface with both fiber and copper. Fully symmetrical, so you don't have to, there's no orientation. And as for sockets, well, in theory, I mean, obviously this is just a prototype and it's far too large. I mean, it's still usable, but it's a lot larger than you would really want the final product to be. The socket basically is just a recession with this inside of it, so that way you still can have a zero profile jack, essentially, that you can then plug your other jack into. Yeah, so one issue with this model, the tolerances are so exact that I can't actually push these. Well, I could push them together, but if I did, I doubt I would ever get it apart again, which kind of, I mean, I have two of them, so I guess I could do that. Alright, let's go for it. There you go, the clicks actually work just like they were supposed to. That's pretty exciting. I felt it sort of lock, and I'm guessing it's probably not going to be too easy to get it apart again. So yeah, that's how it looks basically when the jack is completely locked with another jack. Yeah, it looks kind of like a sugar cube. Interesting texture. This is the white hard plastic. It's one of their material choices that I went with because it was the cheapest, and it's a very interesting texture. It's kind of soft and I don't know, it feels a little like a sugar cube, but at the same time it feels pretty tough too. I have no idea what the strength tolerances are. Let's see if I can actually get this apart again. That would be something. Yeah, that's pretty much what I figured. So another kink to work out of the design, perhaps just ease the tolerances a little so that it's actually possible to get this apart. So, shapeways.com, totally awesome, totally recommend these guys. I mean, I don't think you'll find a cooler 3D printing service on the internet. I mean, there's a few like iMaterialize, they seem pretty awesome too, but I haven't really used them yet. And Shapeways, I mean, they basically took my design, checked it out, and I received my product, you know, within like 10 days. So, I mean, this is just amazing, revolutionary kind of thing where anyone can create something just out of thin air and have it 3D printed and delivered to them. It's just, this is like the Gutenberg of our age. It's just really mind-bending that humans have this ability, that we have access to these tools. And these models were made in Google SketchUp, which is an entirely free 3D modeling program. And yeah, this is like one of my dreams come true, because as most of you will know, I use Second Life a lot, and Second Life is kind of a similar concept where basically you create things and they materialize inside a virtual world. So this is kind of like the next step, like basically materializing your creations in the real world. And that's pretty much everything I had to say at this point. I'm going to be wiring this interface pretty soon with copper in the holes and fiber optic, and then testing it out on my local network just to see how well it performs in the real world. Obviously, I can't just be popping these together all the time, because once they're together they don't really come apart again yet. So just one little kink to work out of the design. And the great thing about that is with this rapid prototyping, it's very easy to correct for those flaws in a very short period of time. And minimum order on Shapeways is $25, and they have a few limitations that you'll want to definitely be aware of if you're planning on using them for 3D printing a project.